So I just want to go over how this is going to work. And I think, the word dynamic has sort of been thrown out. We know how Uber works. You sort of, on the app, you sort of say where you want to go and it sort of connects you. This is very similar, actually. So first and foremost, there's no set route, right? Like I was actually talking to someone about this just the other day and they were like, okay, where's it going to go? I'm like, oh, that's not up to me, right? We do have a service area, which is 94124, but there's no specific route. You'd reserve a ride through an app or a trilingual English, Spanish, and Chinese call center. And then it would come either to your exact location or within a few blocks and take you to where you need to go within the service area. Chris, you want to talk about number 2?
Yeah, absolutely. So when you hail a ride for the community shuttle, you would get instructions either through the call center or on your phone for where you get picked up. And sometimes you get picked up right at your door. Sometimes you might walk to the corner, or you might be asked to walk a block away. And that means that it creates more efficient driving routes for the drivers so that they can have faster routes to get people where they're going and still be able to pick people up and drop people off along the way.
Yeah, that's great. And of course, when we take a look at 3, really being able to be picked up by a shuttle, and what that looks like is actually going to be determined by you. And we'll get into that in actually just like a couple slides or a couple minutes. But then you'll also be able to pay really easily, right? So for those who already have a Clipper card, you'll be able to use that. If you qualify for a particular service, a discount for example, that you can sort of get through the transportation center, those would apply here too. So we're trying to make it as easy as possible for people to be able to engage, to ride on the shuttle and remove any issues that there might be like around payment. Chris, would you like to talk about 4?
Yeah, so as I had mentioned, once you're picked up, there may be a few other people in the vehicle with you, and the drivers will then be dropping off or picking up additional riders as they make their way to your destination. But the way this service works is that the destinations and the riders are trying to pair it up as closely as possible so that those routes are short, are direct, and timely. Yeah, and that's how it would work. And kind of the other piece to this that is shown on this slide is that it would also have a service area. So this is kind of a draft service area that we've drawn up, kind of covering the Bayview, Bayview Hunters Point neighborhood. But we're interested in getting feedback from you all on where else we need to have within the service area. We've heard from some folks about needing to have San Bruno Avenue on the other side of Highway 101 in the service area because a lot of people do shopping out there. We've heard about needing to have single destinations outside the service area, like we've shown here on the map, like Caltrain or BART or San Francisco General Hospital. And so we want to make sure that that we build up a service area that is compact enough that it works for the rides, and that rides are competitive for time. It actually makes sense for you to use it, but that are covering the right destinations for the places that you really need to get to.
Perfect. Yeah, so I wanted to actually open up, and I think we have some really good comments in the chat, and I'm sorry, I'm going to pour them in. Also, if you want to unmute yourself and ask a question, feel free. And if you put it into the chat, I will definitely sort of read them out. I really wanted to sort of have a discussion about the service area. Like, what kind of trips would you use a community shuttle for? What destinations would you want to go to inside the Bayview? And what destination would you want to go to outside the Bayview? Wendy actually had a really great point. She said, I think food pantry should be part of the route, right? So to be able to sort of get people, not only to food pantries, but also just to shopping in general. Maybe there is a stop at Save and More, maybe Foods Co., maybe you know, ... whatever that is. But I think that that's a really great thought. And Lucy, thank you. Is there a way to create an interactive map to show where the shuttle is at any particular point in time that helps with expected waiting time? That's actually a really, really great piece of feedback. And we'll definitely sort of be incorporating these sort of moving forward. So please let us know. Any other issues that people have? Any other thoughts around sort of the service area question?
Anietie, will there be one shuttle or multiple shuttles? This is Lucy.
Hi, Lucy.
Yeah, so I can answer that. So the number of shuttles in operation will be determined by the contract and the operator that we contract with. But we hope to have, you know, anywhere between 4 to 8 shuttle vehicles in operation during operating periods. And so these would be, you know, relatively small vehicles because we need to be agile and, you know, with the trips that they're taking and who they're picking up and where and when. So you're looking at somewhere between 8 to 15 person capacity. But yeah, so it would be, you know, during operations, you'd have multiple vehicles out in the field.
That's great. Is there an option for either all the shuttles or maybe a couple of the shuttles that are in operation at any one time to actually have a way to sort of store items? So for example, if someone goes to a food pantry, right? Or if they go shopping and that's on the route, is there an easy way for them to store their food? Like if you were going to drive, you put it in the trunk, like for example.
Yeah, that's a great question. I don't have an answer to yet, but I think that as we bring on a vendor and an operator, I think that would be a really great thing to continue as part of our discussion with the community.
Great. I know that I've had conversations with the folks who are going to be part of the free market right there on 3rd across from the library. I think it's 5003 3rd Street, I think. They're moving quickly. I think it's really great. And this is one of the things that we brought up in their meeting, and they thought it would be really great, right? So if people are going to be coming to the free market, it would be really great for them to be able to actually use the shuttle and then to be able to transport whatever it is that they purchase from there back home. In our last discussion, and I think it's here too, people really sort of talked about this being really good for potentially for kids, right? And sort of being able to sort of use it as a way to sort of transport like around the neighborhood. Have we given any thought around what it looks like? Would it be all right for kids only? Does a kid have to be accompanied by a parent? How does that work? Or how might that work?
Yeah, that's another thing we'll need to kind of work through with the vendors. We've definitely heard a lot of need and interest for youth transportation in Bayview Hunters Point. You know, and Bayview Hunters Point has one of the highest youth populations in the city by neighborhood. And so we definitely recognize that, you know, a big part of a transportation solution in this community involves making sure that we can make it accessible for youth.
Absolutely. And since it's accessible for youth, then I also go to the other side of the equation. We'd love to sort of hear for some people here. As an elder or for our elders, would this be something that can be used? What things should we sort of be thinking about for them also? And since I just had a birthday, believe it or not, I'm going to be an elder soon too. So would love to sort of hear about that. Oh, this is a really great question. How accessible will the shuttles be?
Yeah, so we are committed to having shuttles being wheelchair accessible, and part of our driver training will include how to ensure that we can safely assist folks in wheelchairs on and off of those vehicles.
That's awesome. In general, and this is, for all of us here, when it comes to our elders, what additional things do we have to sort of think of or put in place to make it even more accessible, I think, for them? Someone mentioned safety. So we'll sort of have to bring that forward, but if anyone has thoughts about that, would love to hear them. And again, post this for those who are attending and those who could not make it but registered. We will be sending out the survey, so you can actually give us a lot more detail as part of that survey also.
Don't forget to subscribe to our channel One Bayview and check on our other podcast episodes. You can also visit our website at www.onebayview.com. Get connected with the community by visiting our social media accounts in Facebook, X, and Instagram.